Hello and welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Have you ever been driving and noticed a new law on the road signs? Or heard on the news about a major change in environmental policy? You might have thought, where did that come from? We live our lives surrounded by laws. But the story of how they're actually made is one of the most complex and fascinating journeys in our society. It's not as simple as a politician having a bright idea and snapping their fingers. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and follow the epic, often grueling, adventure of a major government bill, from a tiny spark of an idea to the law of the land. So where do laws even begin? Every single one starts as an idea, and these ideas can pop up from anywhere. It could be a promise made during an election campaign, a public outcry over a major event, a scientific discovery that demands new regulations, or even pressure from citizen groups. For a big, national law, the idea usually comes from the government currently in power. But an idea isn't a bill. Not yet. First, it enters the policy development stage. Think of this like the research and development phase for a new product. Government departments dive deep. They conduct massive amounts of research, they consult with scientists, economists, and other experts. They try to predict all the possible ripple effects of the new law. In some places, like the UK, they might release a green paper. This is basically the government saying, "Hey everyone, we're thinking about this issue. Here are some options, what do you think?" After getting feedback, they might release a white paper, which is more concrete. "Okay, we've listened, and here's what we plan to do." This entire pre-game show is designed to build a solid foundation and spot any problems before things get serious. Once the homework is done and the plan is solid, it's time to call in the lawyers. Specifically, highly specialized government lawyers whose job is to translate policy dreams into precise, legally bulletproof language. This is the art of drafting. It's incredibly tricky. The language has to be crystal clear to avoid loopholes. But it also has to fit perfectly with thousands of existing laws, like a new piece in a giant, complicated puzzle. The lawyers and the policy experts go back and forth, tweaking and refining until the text perfectly captures the original intent. Once this masterpiece of legal text is complete, it goes to the cabinet, the team of top government ministers, for their collective stamp of approval. With the cabinet's blessing, the document is no longer just an idea or a draft. It is now a bill, and it's ready to enter the arena, the legislature. Okay, our bill is polished and ready. Its formal journey begins with the first reading. This is surprisingly low-key. In fact, it's mostly a formality. The short title of the bill is read out. It's assigned an official number, and it's printed and made public for the very first time. There's no debate, no big speeches. It's basically the bill's birth announcement. But then comes the second reading. This is the first major hurdle. This is where the big fight happens. The government minister who sponsored the bill will stand up and make the case for it, explaining its purpose and why it's so important. Then, the opposition parties get their turn to respond, pointing out potential flaws and arguing against it. Other members join in, and the debate can be fiery. The key thing to remember about the second reading is that they aren't arguing about commas and clauses. They are debating the fundamental principle of the bill. Do we as a country even need this law? Is its core idea good or bad? At the end of this debate, there's a vote. If the bill loses this vote, it's usually dead. Game over. But if it passes, it means the legislature has approved the bill in principle, and it's ready to be put under the microscope. If the second reading was the big picture debate, the committee stage is where they bring out the tweezers and magnifying glasses. This is arguably the most critical part of the whole process. The bill is sent to a smaller group of legislators called a committee. These committees are often specialized. A bill about the environment will go to the Environment Committee, a health bill to the Health Committee, and so on. Their job is to perform a clause-by-clause autopsy on the bill. They go through it line by line, word by word. They can call in witnesses to testify, experts, government officials, industry leaders, community advocates. They ask tough questions. What will this clause actually mean for small businesses? How will this section be enforced? Is this wording ambiguous? During this intense review, committee members can propose amendments, which are just changes to the text. Every single clause and every single proposed amendment is debated and voted on within the committee. A bill can be completely transformed during this stage. Sections can be deleted, new ones added, and wording changed. It's a grueling, detailed process that ensures the law is practical and well thought out. Once the committee is finished, it sends the bill, now potentially covered in changes and amendments, back to the main legislative chamber. This kicks off the report stage. Here, all the members of the legislature get to review the work the committee did. The debate focuses specifically on the amendments. Did the committee make the right changes? Should some be rejected? Are there any new amendments that should be considered? It's a chance for the entire House to fine-tune the bill before its final vote. After the report stage, we finally arrive at the third reading. This is the last stop in this House. The debate here is on the final, polished version of the bill. It's one last chance for members to look at the complete package and decide if they approve. Usually, no more major changes are allowed. A final vote is taken. If it passes, the bill has successfully cleared one half of the legislative mountain. But for most major democracies, it's not over yet. We're talking about bicameral systems, governments that have two legislative chambers, or houses. Think of the House of Commons and the Senate in Canada, or the House of Representatives and the Senate in the US, or the Commons and the House of Lords in the UK. A bill that passes the first house must now do the whole thing all over again in the second chamber. It goes through its own first reading, second reading, committee stage, and so on. Why? The second chamber acts as a crucial check and balance. It's often called a chamber of sober second thought. Its members might be elected differently or appointed, and they're meant to bring a different perspective, scrutinizing the bill again for any flaws the first house might have missed. The second chamber can approve the bill as is, reject it outright, or, very commonly, make its own amendments. If they do make changes, the bill gets sent back to the first house. This can trigger a process called ping pong, where the bill bounces back and forth between the two chambers until they both agree on the exact same wording. If they can't agree, the bill fails. Okay, let's assume our bill has survived everything. It's passed in identical form by both houses. It's battered and amended, but it's made it. What now? It's presented for royal assent. This is the formal approval by the head of state. In a monarchy, that's the king or queen or their representative. In a republic, it's the president. This is the magic moment that officially transforms a bill into an act of parliament. It is now officially law. While in theory the head of state could refuse, in modern democracies this is a formality that is almost never withheld. But wait, there's one final, tiny step. Just because it's an act doesn't mean it's active. The act itself might say, this law will start on January 1st next year. Or it might say it comes into force on a day chosen by the government. This gives everyone time to prepare. When the time is right, the government issues an official announcement called a proclamation. That's the final switch being flipped. The law is now live and in effect. So, from a simple idea discussed in a meeting room to a drafted text, through furious debates, microscopic committee examinations, a journey through a whole second government chamber, and a final royal signature, a law is born. The process is deliberately slow, complex, and full of potential failure points. It's challenged by political maneuvering, public pressure, and fierce opposition. But this long and winding road is the core of a functioning democracy. It's a system of checks and balances designed to ensure that the laws that govern us all are not made lightly, but are debated, refined, and examined from every possible angle. It's a messy, complicated, and deeply human process, And that's a fun fact.